will hold a regular school board meeting at 101 Port Road, Central Administration Boardroom in Port Isabel, Texas on August 12, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. for consideration of the items listed below. The public may access this meeting on the district's YouTube page. It is 5:30 p.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. We have a we have a quorum. We have one not in attendance, Emily Galvan, but I believe she's just running late, so she'll be here later. So I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Mrs. Capistan, was this agenda duly posted as required by law?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move forward with the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance by Andy LeBlanc.
Everybody please stand, bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together as we begin this new school year. We ask that you bless our teachers, staff, and administrators with fresh energy, creativity, and wisdom to guide our students. We pray for our students that they may grow in knowledge, character, and confidence, excelling not only in their studies but also in the many sports, arts, and other extracurricular activities that shape them into well-rounded individuals. Bless our parents and guardians, Lord, that they may continue to be strong partners in this journey, offering support, encouragement, and collaboration so that every child may thrive. May this year be filled with unity, purpose, and success for our entire school community. We ask this in your name. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We'll now move forward with, thank you, Mr. LeBlanc. We'll now move forward with the presentations for this evening. Mrs. Capistan?
Thank you, Ms. Scott, members of the board, and to our audience. We have two presentations that we are going to be presenting, and they are based on agenda items that we have. For the first presentation, I am going to ask Ms. Kirsty Ramirez and Ms. Jessica Hedrick to present the information. The first one is information on Senate Bill 13. As we know, this was a legislative year, and there were many updates to policies and laws and rules and regulations. So the first presentation that we have is on library books by Ms. Jessica Hedrick on Senate Bill 13. Ms. Hedrick.
Okay, I'm going to read my notes on this. I have attended numerous trainings. I am very well versed in Senate Bill 13. I also just get really anxious sometimes. So Senate Bill 13 is a new law which goes into effect September 1st. It has already been voted on, but the requirements must be enacted by September 1st of this year. It adds to House Bill 900 that we saw last year. It does not replace it. House Bill 900 is still in effect. As a side note, a lot of these things we're already doing. My grandmother was a librarian, and these are practices she had in place to the best of her ability back all those years ago. Now there's just legislature involved in a lot of it. The key things are the language laws. And it says the words are described as profane or indecent. It uses the exact same law or verbiage as TV. So anything that can't be said from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. can't be in a library book. We already follow that. There is one little exclusion, which goes with College Board. Anything that is AP, the required readings for AP or the suggested readings for AP must still be allowable to students. If we don't allow this, then College Board will not allow us to offer SAT tests, AP courses, or any of the other things that they offer. And so we have to have those available, but they are with discretion, and parents can exclude their students from reading those books. And I'll get into that a little bit more towards the end. We do want to make sure our kids can still SAT test so they can still get into the schools. So we do have to kind of abide by both. With book ordering now, there must be a 30-day notice So we will post online 30 days before the school board meeting. We will also email to all school board members a list of the titles that we intend to purchase. We have a meeting with the librarians tomorrow to see if we're going to purchase only certain times of year, but it will not be frequent. We will send the list out at least 30 days before so it can be posted. You can review it. If you have any concerns, questions, you can reach out. We can clarify those things to make sure that we are being good stewards of the money that we're entitled to oversee. Parents have the time during that if they'd like to offer any questions, concerns, and if the books are in line with our district and our community guidelines and our the standards we set for our students, and they're in compliance with Senate Bill 13 and House Bill 900, they will still be submitted. But if possibly something was missed, well, people are human. We sometimes do make mistakes that will be taken off and will be reconsidered. It will be read. There is more with SIPA, where it's in state guidelines now that we must make sure that students don't have access to anything online that is inappropriate. We already go above the state standard in that, so we're already in compliance, but it is included. SLAC is for a school library advisory committee, and under this bill, one of the bigger parts of it is whether or not we are going to have a school library advisory committee. We were given two options for school board from TASB as directed under this bill. In working with Region 1, I talked to all of the librarians that are part of Region 1. Only one district chose to go with a SLAC. That district is IDEA, and they are all over the state and in 2 other states. So they chose to go with that because they are so large, and 50 parents wouldn't even be one parent from every campus. If 50 parents request a SLAC, then we must have one for at least 3 years. With that committee, they would, rather than the books going to the school board, they would still go there, but they would also go to this committee. They would have to read every book that we want to purchase. We would have to provide copies for them to read. We would have to find parents that are already out working and have a committee of at least 8 on this, serving on this board. It is my recommendation to follow what the rest of Region 1 is doing and not go with the SLAC unless it is requested by the community, because our school board already is going to review these titles. We're already going to give them to the community to review, and having that committee just asks for more time, more resources. Parental access is another big part of this. Every librarian I know, have known, including my grandmother, if a parent calls in and says, I don't want my child to read books on this topic, we honor that. We make notes, we always have, we respect parents and their rights to what they want their children to access. We have a new feature in our library management software called Additional User Type, where parents are going to be provided with a QR code. They scan that code and they enter their email address that's on Skyward, and they will have access to their child's account. They will see everything your child has checked out. If their child has any late books, any fees, whatever is checked out, they'll see the due dates. They also can go through and look at our entire catalog, and if there's a title that they don't want their child to read for whatever reason, they can block their child from checking that book out. We use the example, if a parent has a religious conflict with a certain topic, they can exclude that and their child will not be able to read it. If their child tries to, it will alert and it will not be able to be checked out through the system. It's just another check in a system that we already follow. But that in a nutshell is what Senate Bill 13 is. This flyer will be going home. So that is the QR code that they will scan and enter their their personal email address that is tied to their student Skyward. And this walks them through how to search the books, how to look at the history of what their child has. I did this for my son who graduated a year and a half ago, and he's still in Destiny, and I was able to see every book he checked out while he was attending Port Isabel schools, which was kind of sent me down that mom memory lane. He's in Austin now, and I miss him. So it was nice to have that. But every parent can check and see. They can block books if they don't want their children to read them. We also have created a little flyer on scanning the QR code, enter your email address, They'll send you a code, so it's got that two-factor verification, and then they'll follow the directions and they'll have that. The librarian staff, or the library staff for the district, will be trained in this tomorrow. We have a representative from Follett coming to work with everyone so they feel comfortable offering support to parents as they need it. Any questions? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hedrick. Our second presentation will be done by Ms. Kirsty Ramirez, and this is on House Bill 1481. And we do have our campus principals that are in the audience. I'm going to ask them to come up with Ms. Ramirez.
Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board, Ms. Capitan, and our community. So I'm going to go over the cell phone policy, and I do have our principals, which is Ms. Deborah Quist. She is the principal at Port Isabel Early College, and Ms. Rocio Ramos, principal at Port Isabel Junior High, Ms. Valerie LeBlanc, principal at Garriga, and then Mr. Jose Bella, who is the principal at Derry Elementary. So Texas legislator did pass our House Bill 1481. This is a new requirement from the 89th Texas legislature. This does require all Texas school districts and school boards to adopt a policy that prohibits all students from using any type of personal communication device on school property during the school day. This is a requirement for all Texas school districts everywhere. So every school district has to pass and adopt a policy. So what is a personal communication device? So it is defined in the Texas Education Code, because since it was passed through legislature, they did have to define what a personal communication device was. So it is anything that is capable of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or cellular data that carries cellular data. So it is anything just like the glasses that they have that can communicate digital communication. And there's a list there. It also are smartphones, smartwatches, your earbuds, anything with Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, personal laptops are also included in this bill. Anything that is capable of voice communication, messaging, internet access via cellular network. So what does use mean? So it's anything that's defined as a device in possession of a student that's turned on and capable of receiving or sending a communication signal. So students should turn off their cell phones. They should not be on their cell phones during the school day and on school property. Possession. So it's being defined as being on the person of the student, directly held in their pockets and under the control of the student. So anything when they have the cell phone or their smartwatch on their wrist, the earbuds in their ears, anything on them. So a cell phone in the student's pocket is still considered in possession, and it can be led to being confiscated by an administrator, a teacher, and can lead to disciplinary consequences. The school day. So the school day is defined with the student entering the campus in the morning, and it ends when the student is being picked up by the parent. This also includes school-sponsored extracurricular activities, which is a continuation of the instructional day. School property means anywhere on a school campus or in a district facility where instruction is provided. So I even included a list. Classrooms, hallways, gyms, cafeterias, band halls, the playground, athletic fields, any outdoor event areas, and even the school parking lots. So the tip here is that this includes all outdoor athletic sporting areas and the school parking lot during the school day. So Texas House Bill 1481 gave school districts and school boards two options. The possession for no possession at all, which means no, not allowed at all. The device is collected and disciplinary consequences if the student brings to school. Or the policy variant for different grade levels. The device is secured during the school day. The device is collected if it's used by the student during the school day and not secured. And disciplinary consequences for the student who continues to use and not secure the device. So several meetings were held with our principals. We discussed the best option for each campus. So the proposed decision for our board members. The students at all campuses will show the administrators when they enter into each campus that the phones, the electronic devices, their earbuds, the smartwatches are turned off. The students will secure all Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi devices in their backpacks. The students cannot take out these electronic devices anytime during the instructional day. Any failure to comply will result in a violation of the student code of conduct. That means they cannot have it on their person at all. It must be secured in their backpack. Our proposed policy that we are recommending to administration to the board is FNCE Local X. So part of the Texas House bill was that we also had to adopt disciplinary consequences. So the statute states that school districts must establish disciplinary measures to be imposed for any violation of the bill, which means that we had to confiscate any electronic devices that the student had in their possession or in their use during the school day. So a student who violates the policy is subject to disciplinary measures in accordance with the district student code of conduct. So district must enforce the disciplinary consequences for students who violate the cell phone policy. So for elementary, the first offense, so the first time that they are caught during the semester, the parent must come and pick up the cell phone. The cell phone can only be picked up after school. So for example, if the phone is confiscated at 9 a.m., the parent can only pick it up after school. It cannot be picked up during the school day. They cannot come during lunch. They cannot come in at 2 o'clock. It has to be after school. So it does not disrupt instruction. At the secondary, it will be picked up the next school day. So if it's picked up at 9 o'clock on Tuesday, the parent can pick it up after school on Wednesday. Because at secondary, the students know a little bit better. They know the results. Elementary, our students are still learning, right? But secondary, they know the rules. Elementary, second offense. Now the second offense at elementary, they pick it up the next day, Tuesday. Parents can only pick it up on Wednesday. Secondary, now it's 2 days. If it happens on a Tuesday, the parents have to wait till Thursday. Third offense, elementary. The example is that if it's picked up on a Tuesday, now the parents have to wait till Thursday after school. Secondary, now you have to wait 3 school days, plus the student gets ISS, because there's something going on here that they still haven't learned. Now they get ISS, the referral. And now they're still waiting 3 days. Tuesday, you're not picking it up till Friday now. Fourth offense, elementary. Tuesday, you're not picking it up till Friday, but now the student does not get to bring it at all for the remainder of the semester. At secondary, you're not picking it up till, it picks up on Tuesday, you're not picking it up till Friday. They lose the privilege to bring it the rest of the semester, plus their bag is checked consistently to see if it's picked up, and they get 3 days of ISS. This also includes parent phone calls, parent conferences, because we want to see how we can help. The tip here is to speak to your student about the House Bill 1481. Contact your campus principal about the campus procedures, and then speak to your student about the consequences. We want to make sure that we help the student understand this is something that was passed by the 89th legislature, and we just want to implement it safely. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes, and that is written into the policy.
If the children already have something in place, let's say a 504, that's already in place, and that would still go through a 504 committee. This is not going to be just an administrative decision. It would have to go whether it's either a special education or a 504 committee meeting.
Correct.
But the the message is this is not something that Point Isabel ISD created. This is the law. And we have to have something in place according to House Bill 1481. We will come, administration is making a recommendation, and this is going to be an agenda item number 2. So this is just for presentation right now, but we do want to emphasize we will come back at the end of the 6 weeks, and we met with administration. And the hope is that this message is going to be conveyed to all students. We need parent support to talk to the children to say, don't bring any of the prohibited items. If you bring in a cell phone, ensure that you comply with all of this. Our campus staff are there to educate. We're not there to be policing this. Our focus needs to be on educating our students. Staff sent in information to say they don't want to be involved in picking up cell phones. They don't want any of the distractions. They don't want the temptation of the cell phones. We're going to be picking them up, and I've got, their testimonies here. They are there to educate, and whatever the board decides, we will move forward, and we will inform all of our parents this evening and tomorrow, send out that message, because we want to ensure that, 1, we are in compliance with the law, and that 2, everybody knows what's expected, and 3, that we're going to be consistent and follow through with everything regardless. But we don't want to be placing our staff, and again, you can see the numerous highlights they're saying, it is a temptation, but we're going to trust. We're going to inform, and we're going to trust, but we're going to follow through. We're already implementing protocols as far as our students going in through metal detectors, and they are already showing. So when we're just going to add that extra layer that they're going to show, my cell phone is off, I'm putting it away, I'm zipping it up, and I'm not taking it out during the day. There are no exceptions. I do also want to inform all of our parents, every single classroom in the district has the phone now. So if there is an emergency that a child, and we've had situations where there is a situation at home, a child can go to the teacher after the class and say, can I please call my parent, the teacher being there. And let's say we've had situations where a parent is having a surgery, a grandparent is having a surgery, and they just want to ease their minds that everything's okay. We can use the classroom phone for that, and those will be the exceptions. But for every parent to know, there is a way for emergency situations in addition to the office, but every classroom now is equipped with a phone in the classroom.
May I ask a question now, or do I wait till the agenda?
You can ask a question. We've got the principals here.
If we approve the cell phone policy, and this is just for clarification so that everyone knows, is there a grace period of 1 day, or does it start day 1?
The law states day 1.
Exactly.
Okay. What is the limit on the number of days that students can be in ISS?
So we haven't adopted the student code of conduct yet. So do you want me to answer it now or until we adopt the student code of conduct?
But I think I hear the question, is there a cap of ISS?
No.
There is not.
No, there's not a cap.
Last year, there was a cap of 3 days.
Right.
That
There's not a
legislation
cap yet.
removed that.
However,
It's been removed. That's another change.
Right, but there is a meeting at 10. So there has to be a meeting at 10 days.
Right, but there's not a cap.
There's not a cap.
Again, that was removed. Last
Right.
year, there was a limit of only 3 days. That has been removed this year. So there are lots of changes made this legislative session.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now be moving on to the public comment portion of the board meeting. The next item on the agenda is public comment, which is the time for members of the audience to address the Board of Trustees. Before we begin, I will remind our audience members of the board's procedures for handling public comments. The public comment portion of our meeting is available to members of the public who wish to address agenda and non-agenda items to be considered by the board. Anyone who wants to speak during public comment must sign up prior to the start of the meeting and list the item or subject they want to discuss. The public comment is intended to allow speakers to address the board regarding matters of concern to the public. Each public comment speaker will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes to address the board. Any public comment speaker who is speaking through a translator will receive up to 10 minutes to address the board. Please keep your comments or criticisms civil and courteous. Do not identify individuals by name or identify by name any student who is not your own child. Please keep your comments or criticisms civil and courteous. Disruptive conduct such as yelling, profanity, or discriminatory comments will not be permitted. In the event your comment, in the judgment of the board president, constitutes a complaint or charge against a student, employee, or officer, it may be necessary for me to interrupt and ask you to stop and direct you to proceed with the school district's formal grievance procedures. If a speaker is seeking board resolution of a specific complaint, that concern should be addressed through the district's grievance process, which can be found online and includes policies DGBA, FNG, and GF. Grievance forms can also be obtained at any campus administration office or in the central administration office. Specific factual information or recitation of existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries, but the board shall not deliberate or discuss any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. In compliance with the Open Meetings Act, please note that the board will not respond to the public directly and will address any agenda items as deemed necessary when they are listed on the agenda. Thank you. Our first speaker is Mr. Steve J. Cano, and he is going to be speaking over HB 1481. Mr. Cano? And we can give you, yes, okay. Let me go ahead and set
Do I push the button or do
the
I-
timer.
Um,
I'll go ahead and let me just, okay, I'll just set the timer. Okay, there you go. Go ahead.
yes, I was going to yield my commentary because everything that my concerns were answered during the presentation. So I'm just going to yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Cano.
you.
Okay. Our next speaker that signed up is Ms. Raquel Sherman in regards to HB 1481.
Hello, I'm Raquel Sherman, a teacher at the high school. I teach math. Last year was my first year teaching, and our principal at the time let us collect cell phones at the beginning of class. We put them in a bin. The kids got to collect them on their way out, and they went on to their next period where every teacher did the same. It was very helpful. Students were not distracted, and the students who did have their phone on them, I found, used them. While I agree wholeheartedly that teachers are there to educate, not police, by allowing students to keep their cell phones in their backpacks, we would be policing. Students cannot use their cell phones according to the law, right? In the hallways, during lunch. We're a small district, which means admin and teachers have a lot of hats. We will have to monitor every student in the hallway, every student in the lunchroom to make sure they are not using their phones, right? Students are young. I am young. I have issues, I have time limits on my social media apps because at 9 p.m. I need to be in bed so I can wake up energized to teach your children, right? Students are growing their minds. They are maturing. Letting them keep their cell phone, even if it's off, it takes 30 seconds to turn it back on. It's very easy to slip your hand in your backpack, turn it on, and just, distract yourself and possibly everyone else in the classroom, especially your teacher. I have 30 kids in a class. I have to be thinking about what they are learning. Are they understanding? Sometimes I have to translate for my students who are EB, who don't get the language 100%. Now on top of this, I have to make sure students are not rummaging in their backpack to turn their phones on. And if they are, right, I have to address the necessary consequence. Was that my timer?
No.
Oh, okay. right? We have to call administration. We have to take it away. It's a possible, altercation inside the classroom. Students get angry, and that's normal. That's their device. That's honestly, for a lot of kids, part of their bodies, right? When you are taking it away from them, they get angry, they get sad, they shut down. Think about the consequences of that student mentally for the rest of the day, and for the 2, 3, possibly 4 days, they won't have that cell phone at all, right? I feel like we would be making everyone's life easier if they were just collected at the beginning of the day by the office, left there, right, and collected at the end of the day. Or better yet, no cell phones at all. Leave them at home, right? Some of you guys, a lot older than me, yes, no offense, you lived your life without a phone, and you are here, thriving, happy, right? We don't need them. The saddest part of my year last year was when I let my kids use their phone in the class as a reward, and I saw 25 to 30 kids in silence, which is hard to get, okay, in a class, silence, scrolling on their phone. No talking, maybe a chuckle every now and then to themselves. Zero soft skills, zero interaction. Now, yes, this bill would limit that because they get in trouble right away. But why are we even giving them the opportunity to get in trouble? So I hope you take this into consideration. I don't know how much can change from this policy, but I really don't think letting the kids keep their phones in the backpack, even if it's turned off, will help this issue. I think it will just cause more disciplinary problems for students and more time outside the class, which, as you know, really hinders their ability to learn. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Zamora,
No.
we're not going to comment.
Not during public.
You can comment when it's brought up as an agenda item. Our next speaker is Ms. Patty Valdez and is also speaking on HB 1481. Yes. We can bring the mic wherever you want it, wherever you're comfortable.
I do agree that the students should not have their phones in class, but I feel like this rule or law is just another one of those rules and laws that you all put into place, and once 6 weeks is over, everybody will have their phones. Just how they wear their crop tops after 6 weeks, just how people are getting food after 6 weeks, like everybody does whatever they want after 6 weeks. Another thing, is this also for the staff and admins, or is this strictly just another rule to consequence students for? Is this, can you answer or not yet? Okay, so that's something to take into consideration, because let me tell you, I've been on social media and I see a bunch of your teachers and admins ordering food to be delivered, posting about their husbands, posting about how great of a weekend they had. I mean, I think that's also to blame, because just how you all say, oh, well, we need the children to be 100%. Well, we need the teachers to be 100% as well. It's not just all about the students. We're so focused on giving consequences to students, pulling them out to ISS, pulling them out of class. Why can't they be in class? It's like it's our goal to pull these kids out of class to punish them. That's what it feels like. That's what it almost sounds like. So let's take into consideration, maybe the teachers they don't want to be policed, because guess what? They're just as guilty of using their cell phone during class for personal reasons and stuff like that. So, I mean, if we're going to be so hard on the students, we have to lead by example. And those who are in charge, they should lead by that example, right? If we're setting rules, let's set the rules. Let's be district-wide. Let's set the rules. If you're a teacher that's always on your phone, how is the kid going to take you serious? Hey, why is she on her phone all day? My daughter specifically, she uses her phone for reading class and English class. She says, Mom, I'm going to fail this year. We'll see, baby. We'll play it by ear. But consider, let it be a rule for all, not just our students. It's not fair to just say, oh, only students can't do it, but oh my God, look at what the leaders are doing. They're on their phone all day. They're ordering food to be delivered to the school. Like, they're doing everything the kids are not supposed to do. So that's where I'm confused. We want to always come up with a punishment for the students, but there's never a punishment for the workers, the staff, the admins, nothing. They get to do whatever they want. And I can guarantee these kids are probably not on social media, not as much as your employees are. Let's be open-minded here. And let's not cut these kids off completely. They already hate to go to school. I mean, let's just cut them another pencil, just cut it off so that they can have a worse idea of going to school. Not all kids use their phones for bad reasons. And to cut everybody off, I mean, like I said, look at the ones that want to use their phone to learn. They're going to get cut off. Will there be other devices like laptops and stuff in the classrooms for the students to use? And also, I'm glad you mentioned there was a phone in every classroom, because a lot of times the students go to the office because they need to contact parents and they're denied. Get out of here. That's what they're told. Get out of here. So if you're going to make the rule, make sure that our students will be heard. If a student goes to the office and needs to make a call, needs to contact a parent, they better be allowed to contact a parent. I'm sorry, that was on time. And let me check my notes for anything else really quick. I remember when my daughter was in high school, they herded the girls. And honestly, it was only the skinny girls. They herded them to the office because their shirts were too short, right? Okay. But there goes admins. They post on Facebook all day and they're in these no-shoulder shirts, short dresses. Like, we have to lead by example. And right now, there's hardly any example. Last year when I would roll up to drop my daughter off, the principal was scrolling on her phone. Doesn't even say good morning, doesn't even acknowledge who's walking up because she's too busy scrolling on her phone. That's a nice example in the morning. So, let me see what else I have here. Oh, when we were looking at the slides, what does secure mean? That's another question that I have. I didn't understand what they meant by secure, like securing the phones and stuff. So maybe that's something y'all can answer for me. Yeah, and it focuses so much on breaking the student code of conduct. Only certain students are allowed to break the student code of conduct. And y'all are probably going to hear from me a lot this year because I'm not giving any more breaks. If this is the rules for the students, then it's going to be the rules for everybody. So I will continue.
Thank you. Okay, that is all who signed up for public comment. We're now moving on to announcements. Mrs. Capisan, are there any announcements?
Yes, ma'am. This is a busy week as we are preparing to welcome all of our students. Next week, we have Meet the Teacher for secondary students for junior high and high school. Tomorrow, Wednesday, from 4 to 6. And for elementary, Thursday, from 4 to 6. All parents are welcome. We invite all of our parents to attend our Meet the Teacher. Everyone is welcome. I do want to point out clarification regarding parent events and open houses. The systems, the protocols are the same as they've always been. Parents will go into the classrooms and meet their child's teacher for Monday. Same protocols as every year. Parents do not sign up or do not sign in. They will be greeted by staff at the door as we've always done that. Monday, we do have our first day of school, and we are allowing parents of elementary children to walk their children if they want to on the first day and on the second day as well. We know that we have many new children that have registered, and we look forward to welcoming all of our children next Monday, August the 18th. If any parents have any questions about the bus routes, we ask that they please contact the transportation department as bus routes are available already. We also have Meet the Tarpons next August 21st, Thursday at 5:30 p.m. at Tarpon Stadium. We do have construction that is happening, and we continue to upgrade many of our facilities. At this time, we have our security guard shack located on Tarpon Drive. Concrete was poured today, and we are going to be posting the entrance and the exit of that area, as it is going to be a different route because of the construction that is happening. I've met with the principals, and we will be posting all that information on our social media, on our school websites, and via information that's going to be sent out to all of our parents. So again, first day of school, next Monday, August the 18th.
Thank you, Mrs. Capisan. Moving on to our business agenda, approval of consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
I move.
I have a motion made by Mr. Davalos, a second by Mrs. Zamora. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the discussion and action agenda. Item 1, recommend approval of SB 13, Library Books Policy, EFB, Local ALT for the 2025-2026 school year. Mrs. Capisan.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, members of the board, and to our audience. Administration heard from Ms. Jessica Hedrick, and she is the head librarian for our school district. Administration is recommending approval of EFB Local ALT Policy, and it is part of your agenda item. It is 7 pages long, but Ms. Hedrick gave the board an overview of, especially we want our parents to be involved. There was that component that parents can choose for child not to check out a certain book if they want, and that's a security for our parents, and the librarian will be alerted to not allow the child to check out that library book. So administration is recommending approval of EFB Local ALT.
I have
Make a motion, and I do have a question.
I have a motion made by Mrs. Castillo, a second by Mrs. Zamora. Okay, we'll have your question, Mrs. Castillo.
Just for clarification, will parents be allowed, or will they have some kind of training if they request on how to access all this information?
Yes, ma'am, we'll make sure that that is available as far as how to use it. It's the Follett software, library software that will be available. We will have parent sessions on how to sign up for that.
Okay, what about for the students? Will they be receiving the training while they go
Students,
to the library? Or?
to my knowledge, it is and I don't know if campus principals can answer. They will check out the books the way they normally do. The additional step is for the parents to say, I don't want my child checking out this book. If the child goes in to check out the book, the librarian will be alerted if the parent has inputted that into the system that the child cannot check that out. So this House Bill 13 is for parents.
So just to follow up, I know that when the presentation was on, it looked like there was a flyer that came with the instructions. Is it offered in both English and Spanish? I couldn't really see it, so I'm just.
Yes, so the flyer is going to be offered in English and Spanish, and so
Okay.
that way it's offered for all parents to be able to communicate.
It sounded like
And is-
she's gonna, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and is that considered the training, or will there actually be a formal training? Okay.
There's going to be a formal training, yes.
We will have several parent meetings. I think that's a great idea to have parents come in and sign up. We'll show them all of the features, what's available, and actually help them to log in and to see all of the features.
So did I hear her correctly? Were these handouts or flyers with the QR code gonna be issued tomorrow? Right,
Yes, she's gonna train her librarians
Librarians.
tomorrow, and then she's gonna start issuing out. And then what we can also do is we can offer it through the ACE program also, and that way we can also train our parents through there.
So parents at Meet the Teacher Night would be able to pick up the flyer with the QR code and the instructions, and if they have questions, the librarians would be available that
Yes.
evening, Wednesday for secondary, Thursday for elementary, to ask any questions or to
Correct.
get whatever, any concerns they have in regards to that.
Yes, and that's why the training's going to happen tomorrow for her librarians, because she wants to be able to have the
Happening.
flyers ready, and so she's gonna make them a 2-pager.
Okay.
And this will be announced.
Yes. No. the flyer's gonna be.
So the parent would have
But-
access to what books the library has. Then they would go through that list and decide whether or not there are certain titles or genres that they don't want their child to have access to, and they would have to pick each one. So if a parent is having difficulty doing that on computer, would they have the opportunity to go talk to the librarian
Right.
or someone at the school to get help?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is where we would want the parents to seek help, to ask if they come to a meeting and ask, okay, what is this title about? What is this title about? Yes, but we won't necessarily change the title of a book that we have unless it's already, we do have some books in Spanish.
I don't know. Does this is on Skyward, right? Or is it a different platform? Okay. Does that have a language choice? I don't know. That's a question, maybe. Yeah.
So what was told to me was, as Ms. Lott mentioned, there is a listing of the books that are there. If any parent has any questions regarding genre, I don't want my children to read any of these things they'll be able to click on and deny that access. But we encourage parents to come in and ask for help, and we will help them through that.
Okay. All right. I had a motion by Mrs. Castillo, a second by Mrs. Zamora. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 2, recommend approval of HB 1481 cell phones policy FNCE local for the 2025-2026 school year. Mrs. Capisan?
Thank you, Ms. Scott, members of the board, and to our audience. Earlier we had a presentation on House Bill 1481, and administration is asking the board to approve an FNCE local, and the policy basically says prohibited use of student in grades 9 through 12 shall not use a personal communication device on school property during the school day. While on school property, the student shall store any personal communication device in accordance with administrative regulations. So we have stated the student has to turn off their cell phones and put it away in the backpack. We're asking students do not bring in smartwatches, do not bring in the AI glasses. We are now dealing with so many different forms of technology. Do not bring in iPads, do not bring in a communication device, anything that's considered a communication device. A student in pre-kinder through 8th grade is prohibited from possessing or using a communication device on school property during the day. So again, we're telling our students, when you walk in, ensure that you turn the cell phone off, and the use is that it is on, that the students take it out. We're asking for our students to comply day one, because that is the law. It's effective the first day of school, and we need our parents to help us out with that. We will evaluate after the first 6 weeks, because we want to ensure that if there is an emergency after school, our students are involved in so many events that they have a way of communicating with parents to pick them up. But we're asking them, do not take out the cell phones during the day. We have also applied for a grant that through TEA. TEA is having a grant for storage, the storage units. We have already submitted information. Ms. Christy Ramirez submitted this last Friday. And if we evaluate and we notice that this is not working, we will come back to the board and say, this is not working, and we will have Plan B, and we will discuss it at this time. Especially hopefully if at that time we have the storage devices. But for now, you heard the presentation. We're simply asking our students, when you come in to our school building, You show that your phone is off, you put it away, and do not take it out. If they take the cell phone out, it will be confiscated day one. So the message, whatever the board approves, will be sent out, posted this afternoon. We will send the information to our parents in English and in Spanish. It will be announced at Meet the Teacher tomorrow and on Thursday. Social media, every single type of communication device that we can utilize to inform our parents of this.
I want to make it clear that the use of cell phones is not something that's discretionary on the part of the school district or the school board. That's a mandate by the state, that's state law. It's the manner in which we implement a policy to prohibit the cell phone use to be in compliance with the state law. Because I feel like feedback that I've gotten is, why are y'all doing this in the first place? And we don't have a choice. This is something that the state required us to do. If you see other school districts across the state, they're all public school districts across the state, they're all required to do it. Several other states have the same laws that were implemented this summer that are also going into effect. I spent a lot of time this weekend looking over across several public school districts across the state, and the majority of them are using this same recommended policy that they be stored in the backpack. The few that were not were using what were called yonder pouches that are basically a small rectangle that would fit maybe a cell phone and maybe some AirPods or something, but nothing larger, maybe a smartwatch, which would be held by the student all day and have a locking mechanism, and then the student would scan that pouch as they exit the school, which would unlock, and then they would have access to it. So other policies that are not but keep in the backpack, it's still requiring them to keep it out of sight and locked away to where they don't have access to it. Same with other states. I spent a lot of time looking at it, and as to concerns about having to police in the classroom and looking at if they're taking it out of the backpack, I would suggest, and I don't know if y'all are already suggesting this, but leave the backpack at the door or in the front door, close to the door, so that they're not tempted. There's no temptation to open the backpack or get distracted. Maybe the same thing in the cafeteria, have a designated table where they can leave their backpacks there. It's hard to try to do something so quickly and abruptly, but we're mandated by the state to do it. And everyone has different opinions on it, but we're trying to do what's best for not only the students, but the educators that we have in our classrooms and administrators. And I feel checking them in and having that manpower in the morning to check in not only cell phones, but if you have AirPods or iPads or any sort of personal device that was on that list, would require a lot of manpower by our staff. And what's to say there's not something that gets through? I know we have metal detectors and stuff, but then also storing it the entire day. What if somebody loses a device? The first thing we're going to hear is a complaint about, they lost my student's cell phone, they lost my student's AirPods, it got scratched, it got damaged, which I just think puts a lot of burden on staff. And I see both sides. I know, the whole point of this law is that students are more focused in the classrooms and educators are just focusing on teaching them, and that's what we all want. But yes, to answer the question of will there be devices in the classroom for students to use, I think the answer is yes. School-issued devices are allowed. I'm just trying to go through the concerns that I heard to kind of answer some questions as I thought through this weekend, because I heard a lot of complaints, I heard a lot of concerns, and all of which are valid. It's just, what's the best manner to implement this law that is best for both the students, parents, and the staff. You know, and I agree with you. We'll monitor how it's going, and if we see that every single day there's a problem, and in the first 6 weeks, maybe we do have to go to the Yonder or Wonder pouches or something of that nature to get a little bit more stringent with it.
Right.
I don't know. I hope, you know, that parents talk to their students about it, and you know, we post the why as to why this is happening. This is not something that we just want to do, but what we're required to do. And you know, education is the best way to get the word out, and explaining the why that's behind it. But I think the recommended policy at this time is the best way to go about it.
So, Ms. Scott, members of the board, and to our audience, the TASB is who we receive our policies from, gave the district 3 choices. This is one of them. The other one was to completely ban. Students cannot bring any electronic device at all in the entire day after school. It's completely banned because that's coming from the state as an option, and have different policies for certain age groups, whether elementary and secondary. So those were the only 3, but during the instructional day, cell phones are not allowed. That is the law. House Bill 1481 is a requirement. It is not a district initiative in any way, shape, or form. We are starting with administration is recommending this as progressive, hopefully. Hoping that this will work. We will evaluate, and if it's not working after the first 6 weeks, we will come back with data to say this is not working and we've got to do this instead. So as I stated, we have applied for a grant to receive storage kits that are locked, and we're still we still have that wheel in place, so that if that's something that we have to do, we will have those funds available from the state to purchase those storage units. Communication is the key. Whatever the board approves today will be announced to the parents. Juliet is waiting to post. But at this time, we're hopeful that our students will comply, knowing that this is not a Point Isabel ISD recommendation. This is the law, and we need everyone's help with this.
Now,
I just
as-
wanna-
One thing that Ms. Scott kind of briefly touched on, and I think is key, is partnership with parents. I mean, parents are going to have to help us with enforcing this, and keeping it out of the teachers policing these things. And you know, as a parent of a now high schooler, I will have to be one that has to have that conversation with my daughter and tells her that, you know, you're not going to be a distraction. You're not going to let your device, or else there will be consequences at home. Now, we can't enforce that at every home, but we have to entrust that we will have those communications with parents, and that they will then partner with us to make this, you know, we just have to deal with the reality of what learning is in the 21st century, right? And it's constantly evolving. We're having to change. I mean, you guys go through it every year when curriculum changes. This is just another thing that we're going to have to learn and adapt to. And I agree with you, Ms. Sherman, that, you know, the policing, it's still going to happen. And that's an unfortunate thing, because there are students that are going to try and sneak devices in, and that would happen even if we do move to collecting them. So it's just something that we're gonna have to figure out what is the best way for us to move the district forward without impacting their instructional time. That is the biggest concern that I have. Is I don't want to see kids getting removed from it was 3 days, 4 days. I don't want to see kids getting removed from instructional time because they can't leave their device at home or in their backpack, whatever it may be. So
I just want to reiterate the why, and I know staff, you already know this because you experience it every day, But this is what the research says, and I'm hope that everyone who had I guess, a piece of this House bill, I hope they did the research. I'm sure they did. If they heard it from teachers, I know what they heard. And what the research says that while 97% of the teens use phones during the school day, even those small impacts from notifications can cause that academic performance drop. And this is what it's all about. We want our staff concentrating on teaching and learning.
It's a good point, and actually, I like what each one of you have contributed. But bottom line, it's the law, and we only have those three options. So I will move to approve your recommendation.
I have a motion made by Mrs. Zamora. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Mrs. Castillo. Just to clarify, after the dismissal bell rings, they have access to the phone, right? Okay. It's only during the school day, which is when the start time, whatever the respective start time of each campus, and then upon entering the school, the campus. Okay.
So then, upon entering the school, yes. So then once they go in, then so as you exit the door.
So the protocols that are going to be in place is as the students are entering the building through the metal detectors, they are going to show that their cell phone is off and they're going to put their cell phones away. So that is entering into the building because that's the only way that we're going to be able to monitor that cell phones are off. Administration already has the process that they're checking backpacks, and that will be a check that they're going to be checking for cell phones.
Did we give any consideration to the plastic clear backpacks?
Yes, those are, we've been posting mesh and plastic backpacks only.
Okay, good.
Same as last year.
I think that makes it a little easier for administration.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments by board members? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 3, recommend approval for the 2025-2026 school year to delegate contractual authority to obligate the school district under Texas Education Code 11.1511C4 to the superintendent solely for the purpose of obligating the district under the Texas Education Code Section 48.257 and Texas Education Code Chapter 49, subchapters A and D, and the rules adopted by the Commissioner of Education as authorized by under Texas Education Code Section 49.006 to also include approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit or the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit, netting Chapter 48 funding for the estimated amount of $21,498,246. Mrs. Capitan. I believe this is our recapture.
Scott,
payment.
members of the board, and to our audience, that agenda item is a pretty way of saying we have to send $21 million back to the state for recapture. And it is not we really do not have an option. This is something that we are obligated to do.
Yeah, we don't have an option.
Christy,
Right,
do we have
Christy?
an option
We
to not
we have
send
an option to not
$21 million
comply.
back to the
I'll
state?
make the motion.
I'll second.
We have an option to not comply. Okay. Motion made by Mr. LeBlanc, a second by Mr. Davalos. Any questions or comments by board members? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to the superintendent's educational and routine reports. Mrs. Capitan.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Members of the board, our audience, attached to your agenda items, we have the public school disbursement for July 2025, tax office reports, financial reports, student activity reports, and investment activity reports. If anyone has any questions, we'll be glad to answer them.
Moving on to executive session, closed session. The president of the board will call an executive closed session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.001, which authorizes the holding of such closed or executive session. Pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.074, Personnel Matters, discussing personnel, deliberations on appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties, discipline, and dismissal, or to hear complaints against personnel. Item 1, discussion and possible action on superintendent recommendation for renewals, proposed non-renewals, and resignations of professional educator contracts, professional staff administrators, professional staff others. Item 2, discussion and possible action of professional personnel report that includes employment, resignation, leave of absence, new hires, promotions, and transfers for the month of August 2025. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion made by Mrs.
I'll
Castillo,
second.
a second by Mr. Davalos. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're going into executive closed session at 6:35 PM. You ready? It is 7:27 PM. We are out of executive session. Do I have a motion to come out of executive session? A motion by Mr. Davalos, second by Ms. Cantu. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are out of executive session at 7:27 PM. Do I have a motion to return to open session? I have a motion made by Mr. LeBlanc, a second by Ms. Cantu. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We're back in open session at 7:28 PM. Action on matters or items considered in closed session. Item 1, discussion and possible action on superintendent recommendations for renewals, proposed non-renewals, and resignations of professional educator contracts, professional staff administrators, and professional staff others. Do I have a motion? Move to approve as discussed in executive session. I have a motion made by Mrs. Zamora, a second by Mrs. Galvan. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 2, discussion and possible action on professional personnel report that includes employment, resignation, new hires, promotions, and transfers for the month of August 2025. Do I have a motion? I have a motion made by Mrs. Galvan. Was that you? Okay, by Mrs. Galvan to move as discussed in executive session. Second by Mrs. Zamora. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a motion made by Mr. Davalos, a second by Ms. Cantu. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned at 7:29 PM. Have a nice evening, everyone.